All right, first things first, just want to say you might notice that the audio quality is a little bit different in this video than the last several that I've been doing, and that's because I'm trying out yet another new microphone setup. Whether or not it works, that remains to be seen, but I'm trying it out on a small figure because I feel like this video is going to be relatively quick, so if it turns out to be horrible, it's at least fast. So with all that said, before we get started, I want to say once again, there is a Patreon that I have, which you can check out in the link in the description as well as at the end of the video, that if you want to support the channel, it's a way to kind of monetarily do that. It's a single $1 tier, it gets you early access to new videos, and I realize I've been doing a poor job of actually thanking patrons directly. I have the little card at the end, but nobody watches those. So yeah, I want to say thank you, very belated 2 years late thank you to Anna Helkowski for being my very first patron. Love you, Anna. And yeah, I'm going to be doing the patron stuff a little bit more often, well, for the next 3 videos anyway. And I just feel like it's something that I should have been doing before. Anyway, with that out of the way, there is also the matter of the ShowZ Discord link, which is also down in the description, and that is just a link to the Discord for ShowZ, which, if you're not familiar, is a really nice overseas website that they've got great customer service, really nice prices, generally free shipping to the US on pretty much everything, though there is a paid option that's a little bit faster. Though in my experience, the free option is perfectly fast considering it's coming from, like, I think China. And yeah, ShowZ is great, and if you follow the link in the description and join their Discord, it earns me 50 points, which is basically 50 cents worth of store credits. So with enough of that building up, I could use that to go towards buying more stuff to put on the channel. Not that I don't do that anyway, but, you know, it's less out-of-pocket cost for me, which is preferable because this stuff's expensive, as I'm sure a lot of you can understand. It kind of gets on top of you, as Stu likes to say. But yes, with all of that said, we are looking at Titan's Return Shockwave, this tiny little spaceship fellow, and I've been wanting a Titan's Return Shockwave for quite some time. And my white balance is being messy. There we go. But yes, I've been wanting a Titan's Return Shockwave for quite some time. Finally got a hold of one several months back, and he's really, really cool for what he is. Like, he's a tiny boy. He is he is a small. I forget what they were calling them at this point. Probably Legends scale. Basically core class, but this was before core class was a thing. And he's really neat. I honestly have to say I like him more than this version of Shockwave. They share a lot of the same kind of basic DNA. I mean, it's also because they're smaller, there's not a whole lot new that they can do. Like the transformation skeleton is very similar, but definitely like this guy better. I think he's just a nicer overall figure for a lot of reasons. Mostly aesthetically, which I guess we'll just get into right now. So yeah, his form is that of I guess a spaceship. In a way, it almost makes me think of, like, it's not the same, but it kind of makes me think of the ships in Dune, particularly the David Lynch Dune, where they were just these, like, really, at least some of them, I think it was, I forget what they were called, the big worm things, but not the sandworms, the other worms, the navigators or whatever they were, the ones that controlled, like, warp travel. Their ships, from what I recall, were, like, very kind of featureless, long and slender things, and that's kind of what I get here. I mean, it's not the same, obviously. There's actually detail and features on this thing, but just the basic shape kind of reminds me of that. And I do think it's cool. It definitely looks like the kind of thing that, like, I guess maybe like a Corvette class ship from Star Wars or something like that, where it's, like, clearly not designed to land and take off and, like, do atmospheric flight, but is more designed to just stay in space. And I could totally see that. It looks like it should be a bigger ship than it probably would be, because this thing is definitely small, but I like it. I also think the color separation works out pretty decently. I mean, it's from here it is pretty monotone. You've got a little bit of this like pinkish purple translucent plastic showing in a few places, and of course the gray on the sides and up here, but it's mostly just this purple plank. And it's fine, and it's Shockwave, I get it. I definitely think this bit is really nice, having like the tip of the, I guess, intake engines or gun barrel, if you want, as that pink color. I think that's nice, but like this is very just a lot of purple. And like on the bottom here, you can see where you've got the robot mode torso and all that. It breaks up the color a lot better. So I do kind of wish that they had done something up along here with some added color, like silver or something like that, to just break up the purple a little bit more. But for what it is, and also for the size class, I think it's perfectly fine. And there's some really nice molded detail all over this thing too. And yeah, I don't know really what else to say about it. It's just a fun little, and I do mean little, spaceship design that also doubles as a gun, because he's got the little flip out handle in the back. And I do not like how they did this. I understand why. I think it was Vangelis that went over it in his video, where it's, got the peg back here, but also up here, because when you put it in a Combiner Wars Combiner Fist, it makes it look like the Combiner Fist is holding the gun a little bit more accurately. What? What? I gave you treats. I literally just gave you treats. You were chomping on treats less than 10 minutes ago. Don't know if Astrid's screaming was coming through there, but yeah. Anyway, Combiner Wars Fist meant to look a little bit more natural in the hand, which is all well and good, but the problem is this bit gets in the way of regular figures holding it, which kind of stinks. Like, just as an example, I'm gonna bring in Rotor Storm here real quick, and you can see that it plugs into Rotor Storm's fist pretty decently. Yeah, there we go. So it plugs into Rotor Storm's fist all right. That's okay. Looks a little big, but that's fine. But when we start doing a little bit more comparisons, you're going to see that it's not great. Well, actually, yeah, to heck with it, we'll do it now. Just give me a moment, because I've got this fellow in his vehicle mode, or, well, I guess technically vehicle mode, for comparisons, but we'll just pull out an arm real quick. So here we've, because this is a family-friendly show. Okay, so here we've got Siege Shockwave, or in this case, Galactic Man Shockwave, and as Astrid, please don't. You're gonna mess everything up. Don't jaw the screen. She almost stopped recording because she put her face on the screen. Anyway, this cannot really plug into Shockwave's fist. Like, Shockwave can't hold Shockwave because of this nonsense, and because of the shape of the fist here. So that, okay, so like you can, if you angle it to get around that, this bit of the fingers here that sticks out, then it will fit, but then it's at this angle, and that is crap. So yeah, that really sucks. I really wish that they hadn't done that. Like I said, I understand why they did it, but I don't like that they did it. It just hampers the functionality and play factor, I guess, if you want to call it that, of a pretty cool Shockwave, all things considered. Like, this is a neat kind of giant bazooka-style gun, which would look really cool in a lot of different figures' hands, but not a lot of them can hold it. Anyway, I've ranted enough about the gun handle problems, so let's just go straight to the size comparisons. And we already kind of got an idea of how big he is compared to Rotor Storm, but we're going to bring in everyone else here. So there's Artfire. Scoot you in a little bit more. and Samus, and Burnout. So yeah, Legends, Legion, I think Legends scale figure, obviously much smaller than the average Voyager and Deluxe. Boy, Astrid, you are just in a mood this afternoon. Yeah, honey, please. But let me get these out of the way again, because there are a couple more size comparisons I wanted to make, and obviously you saw Galactic Man Shockwave, so I'm going to bring him in here, obviously. And here we have... oh boy. We've got Legends Titan's Return Shockwave with Galactic Man Shockwave, and clearly size difference there as well. And that's in the Space Magnum mode if you want to see him in his submarine mode. And there he is in his submarine mode. Yeah. But we also do have Core Class, Earthrise Kingdom? Legacy? I already forgot. I think it's Legacy. I don't know. I don't care either, honestly. But yeah, here is... yes, hi, honey. Here is Titan's Return Shockwave with the other Shockwave. And, you know, as much as I complain about Titan's Return Shockwave needing a little bit more color breakup, this is way better in terms of color breakup and placement compared to this guy. This guy's just a big old slab of dark purple with a couple of random bits of silver. I feel like there's a little bit more going on with this vehicle mode, but I still think this is the better alt mode of the two. And one more Shockwave for the road. Here he is with Studio Series Bumblebee movie Core Class Shockwave. And, you know, completely different aesthetics, completely different vehicles, and this guy cannot be used as a gun. Or I guess maybe with extensive fan moding, maybe, but yeah, it's not designed to be used as a gun. But that's how they look together, and I do think I prefer this alt mode overall, because it's a pretty decent H-tank, and again, like, the color breakup is done just better here. Doesn't mean I think Titan's Return Shockwave is a bad one, though. Not at all. Oh, and one other thing I wanted to mention, because I didn't realize it when I did the video on this guy. This guy also can function as a gun, because there's this little peg back here that's actually on a hinge that flips down and becomes a handle. So this guy can be a gun as well, but this does not work as, like, you can fold these down, which helps a bit, but this way more than this looks like a spaceship on a stick. So yeah, this guy still does it better. And because obligatory, here is, I'm doing all of this while reaching around a camera and a cat. This is Titan's Return Shockwave with the duck tank. Alright, transformation time. And it is very, very straightforward on this guy, but very clever. And I love how when all is said and done, you're left with a pretty well-articulated robot, too. So, first thing is going to fold down the handle and accordion down what will become the arms. There's a hinge here and then a ball joint up here. So you want to fold down that hinge, and that allows you to straighten out the arms. And you can split those and bring them down on this hinge and the ball joint, but we're just going to do the hinge for now. And these also do peg into place. There's a little peg there that goes into that peg hole there on the arm, so do that. Now you can fold this back, which will pop up the head, and this folds back and tucks along the back of the robot there. And that cleans up pretty darn nicely, very simply too. And now, just like with Siege Shockwave, I'm going to split the this bit. Come on. You're making me nervous here. Whoop. Okay. So don't do that. I'll put that back in later. And split here. Wow, that is really... There we go. That's really stiff. So split that open, and let me put this back in real quick. Real quick, like, theoretically. Come on, there we go. Okay, so with those back in place, we can straighten out the legs, and then there's a hinge in the center here that comes up, and that puts the hips into a more natural position. Rotate the thighs, and then push these little bits in to make feet. And that's it. There is Combiner Wars Shockwave in his tiny but very cool robot mode. And Astrid, you are still not making this any easier. Oh, Cat, this is supposed to be a quick video. You're not helping me make this a quick video. Please don't touch the... Yes, honey, I love you too. Don't know if her purrs are going to come through on the microphone or not, but she is in a mood. Anyway, Titan's Return Shockwave is very, very cool. It's pretty much the only thing that I can complain about with regards to the look of the robot mode is the fact that his head's a little tiny. And that's all I got. Like, the rest of this, I think, is fantastic. I really like the color breakup. Like, you've definitely still got that purple everywhere, but it is broken up a lot more with, like, the gray for the hinges, like in the biceps, the feet, the thighs, shoulders, neck plate. I mean, that kind of stuff is a little unsightly, the differently colored random shoulder joints and random neck plate, but for the size, I think that's fine. But I do think the proportions, aside from the head being a little tiny, very nice. And he is surprisingly dynamic, which we'll get into when we look at the articulation. But yeah, again, lots of nice detail, most of which was on the ship, but now you've got the thigh detail and the forearm details that have been revealed. The torso you could see in vehicle mode, but now it's like full on display. And of course there's the head. And yeah, I love the torso look of this Shockwave. It's, you know, I do have concerns over all of the translucent plastic that's being used, but to my knowledge, this guy hasn't started getting super brittle or anything like that over the years, so hopefully that holds up. And I do think this kind of pinkish purple translucent plastic that they used for lots of different parts, like the entire shin section and the forearms and the chest plate, I think it works with the purple pretty well. And it's different. It's something different for Shockwave while still maintaining Shockwave. Like, it's got pretty much the telltale Shockwave chest shape, but now it's in this translucent color, and it's got this really neat kind of black detailing going through the center. And I just like how it still evokes the original design while being its own thing. I've said this many times, but I really, really wish that Hasbro and Takara would get back into doing that kind of thing and giving us like recognizable but new designs of characters. They've done it a bit, and I definitely appreciate them branching out into the Unicron trilogy. As of this recording, I am looking forward to getting Armada Prime and Armada Megatron. But I miss this with other stuff too. Okay. Okay, cat cameo video playlist, I guess. Even though it's just her butt and tail on screen. But yeah, this is a nice little Shockwave. He is pretty cool, and he cleans up really nice. Like, he's small, and the engineering is simple, but like, it's really, really clever how they did it all. Like, this whole assembly in the back here, the way it folds around to hide the head and hold the arms together for the vehicle mode and provide a handle for the gun mode, which is just the vehicle mode with a handle. but then folds back around along the back, so it's like he's got a little bit of a backpack, but it's barely anything. And compared to like Siege Shockwave, it's like it kind of evokes the same basic backpack idea for a Shockwave, but it's much, much smaller and much more compact. I mean, literally because he's a much smaller figure, but also just looking at it like in terms of if you imagine him as big as him, this would still be a much slimmer backpack. I just think that's really neat. It's a very good, to use a term that I feel kind of weird using, it's a good economy of parts. That does feel really weird to say. Now, as for the head, Tiny Shockwave's tiny noggin is very Shockwave. It's that standard kind of squished hexagon shape that everyone knows for Shockwave. He's got the ears that have been painted silver in this case, and he's also got the no face with the yellow eye, which I think also looks great. And that's a tiny, tiny thing to be painting black and then yellow, so I appreciate that it came painted, because that would have been a pain to try and paint myself. But yeah, it's, aside from it being just a hair too small for the rest of the body, it looks really good for a Shockwave head. And I know it's that small so that it can fit into the chest cavity, but I do kind of feel like they probably could have, well, maybe not because of the way these hinges are. I don't know, it was just a little bit bigger. But anyway, as for articulation, as you saw with the head, it's on a ball joint, but the socket is actually in the neck plate. So it's like a ball joint going down into the torso rather than up into the head, which in this case offers him quite a wide range of up, down, and left and right tilt. And also, of course, you can turn, though the turning is really kind of tight on this guy for some reason. But yeah, very expressive. The arms also very nicely articulated because you've got a ball joint at the shoulder so you can go around. You've got what basically amounts to a little bit of butterfly. You can go out to 90, but then you've also got the hinge joint there so you can go up even further, like a lot further. You have a ball joint at the elbow so you can bend to 90 and also use it as a bicep rotation, but then you've got that additional joint for transformation that can go back if you want it to. And Astrid's back on my lap. So yeah, you're not going to get a double jointed elbow bend unless you try and like force this or possibly carve some stuff away up there, which I probably wouldn't do, especially on a figure this tiny. But it's pretty good articulation for something so small. No waist rotation, which is like, oh well, I mean, they probably could have made it work. It would require more parts, obviously, but this is just a big solid piece going around here. Thing is, with how this transforms, this backpack would be like pressed up against the waist rotation if it did have one, and that would kind of get in the way, so it's fine. The hips are ball jointed, so they can swing forward to 90, back to not quite 90 because of this little bit here, and can go out slightly past 90. But if you want, you can use the transformation joint as like a drop-down hinge, so then you can get the leg to go up a little bit past 90. You can you get a little bit of wiggle at the hip for the ball joint, but there is a dedicated thigh rotation, which is excellent. And you get a knee bend, which due to the transformation is severe. And it doesn't look bad either when it bends, so that's really nice. And then for the ankles and feet, you don't really get anything. They don't tilt. They're like in a slight A stance, but they don't tilt side to side. They don't tilt forward. They kind of tilt back, but that's for the transformation, and it's not... No, I guess it's solid enough given his size, but it's not the best look. But hey, you got options for ankle placement, kind of. And yeah, he's just pretty... I really like how posable this little guy is, and the transformation is really simple. It's just, this is an excellent Legends scale figure. He is just, I don't know, he's kind of the whole package in that he doesn't overdo it with the design, but he's also not undercooked. I just really like this guy. He's neat. The only real gripe I have is, again, like that head is a little bit too tiny, but still very cool. And you know, you could just look at it as, I don't know, Shockwave got beefy, so like his body bulked out, but not his head. I don't know. But yeah, this guy, very neat. And again, because he is a legend scale figure, he's also kind of on the small side. So we bring in Artfire and Rotor Storm and Burnout and Samus. You can see that he is pretty small, which, you know, it's to be expected because he's a core class figure. Or I keep saying core, but these were legends back in the day. So he's a legends class figure. So yeah, he's gonna be on the small side, and that's okay. And as I said, considering the size is actually really impressive. I can't believe I'm like, oh yeah, this will be a short video, and here I am already 30 minutes into recording. Jeez. I talk way too much. And so let's just truck right along here with all of the Shockwaves. Well, not all, I have a couple more, but all of the relevant Shockwaves for what I used for size comparisons before. And yeah, there we have Shockwave with Shockwave, Shockwave, and Shockwave. And yeah, Titan's Return Shockwave's pretty much the same overall height as both core class Shockwaves, and gets a little bit more articulation than, well, than both, really. I mean, this one, Legacy Shockwave, I guess, similar arm articulation, but the neck is just a swivel, it's not a ball joint, and you don't get like any foot movement. And in this case, you've got ball jointed knees rather than a dedicated thigh swivel. And Studio Series Shockwave is, I still think this is an excellent figure, but due to his design, he definitely lacks the articulation of Titan's Return Shockwave. He does not have thigh swivels. He has less arm articulation. He does have, no, he doesn't. Okay, I thought he had a ball jointed neck. He does not. He also just has a swivel. So yeah, they're all neat in their own ways, but he definitely wins out in terms of articulation from the different small scale Shockwaves. And then with Galactic Man Shockwave, clearly this one's going to have more in terms of articulation because bigger figure, more dedicated parts, that kind of thing, but still. And I do just appreciate, too, how different the aesthetics are across the different Shockwaves. Like, yeah, these two look similar because this guy's supposed to evoke this guy, but it's just such a broad look for Shockwave, but they're all still very obviously Shockwave. And I really, really like that. I just, yeah, I love it when they do stuff like this with the Transformer designs. So let's get these all out of the way and bring in the most important size comparison of them all. Here is Titan's Return Shockwave with the Duck Tank. And that's going to do it for Titan's Return Legends, I guess, Shockwave, and I feel like there's no... It's just going to be a bunch of repetition at this point. I do really like this guy. He was worth the wait. I wish I did get him when he was new and paid, you know, regular MSRP for him. I definitely overpaid for him to get him. I think I paid around 20 bucks, which isn't terrible for an older figure, but like for a legend scale figure, that's yeah. Like I basically paid almost twice as much for him as I did for him, and that's a little bit on that. But it is an older toy, and you know, it's kind of my own fault for missing the window on him initially, but I'm glad I have him now. He's an incredibly cool figure and available in a few different decos from what I understand. Personally, I prefer this one. I like the better color breakup. I like the newer approach of like this pinkish translucent plastic in conjunction with the purple, rather than, say, the Takara version that's more of a lighter kind of animation style purple. And the BotCon or TFCon, whatever convention version it was, where they were like, hey, it's Reflector. Yeah, I'm not. I thought paying $20 for this was paying a little too much. There's no way I'm buying one of those for... God, how much do they go for now? Like close to $100 a lot of the time. Oh, thank you. But yeah, very cool figure. For anyone who may have missed the boat, still definitely worth it. I feel like he holds up, if not surpasses, some modern core figures. Well, some modern good core figures. I feel like it's unfair to compare him to the Dinobots because they're designed as a combining team, so, you know, cramming 3 modes into a core class figure with a 2022-2023 budget, I feel like it's not a fair comparison. But, like, this Shockwave stands up to, like, Legacy Iguanas and you know, Legacy Nemesis Prime and other core class figures that are good right now that I just can't remember off the top of my head. Legacy Megatron. Yeah, like he does definitely hold up. So yeah, recommendation, as I said. But that's gonna do it. I've rambled way too long for this video that was supposed to be really short, and I'm hoping the audio isn't garbage. We shall see. But thank you everybody for watching. As always, feel free to chime in down below with your thoughts. I always enjoy hearing from you all. And yeah, I still don't have an outro. One of these days. Maybe. We'll see.